They're a group of close to a dozen medical students from Guam who are currently attending various colleges all over the U.S. that are connected by the Health Opportunities and Medical Exposure or HOME program, which is a local nonprofit dedicated to increasing the population of local physicians practicing on the island. Paul Jimenez is a third-year medical student at University of California, San Francisco.
Through this network, we've kind of tried to maintain contact with different medical students, or with all the medical students who are from Guam, and try to stay in the loop, mentor individuals who are back home to help navigate the complicated process of becoming a doctor.
Jimenez said that the news of the typhoon's aftermath started to trickle in from loved ones.
We, as medical students from Guam, like we're hoping to eventually go back home to practice medicine, but we're kind of in this limbo state where we can't really do that much from here stateside because we're so far from back home. Like we want to help our community, but there's not much that we can do in our capacity.
But they couldn't just sit around and not do anything, so the medical students established a GoFundMe campaign. Eric Taitano Pineda is a fourth-year medical student at Tulane University School of Medicine.
The easiest way to do it was through a GoFundMe campaign. It's something that a lot of people use, and it's something that's been tried and tested to be able to just tap into our individual networks. We understood that a lot of people, folks who were originally from Guam, are no longer in Guam, want to help in some way. They just don't know how, and they don't really know how to direct our efforts. And we wanted to be kind of like a space for people to the people who know us or who are friends with us or who are part of our network to trust us with some of their money, and trust that it'll go to a good cause.
The group has a fundraising goal of $15,000, and as of this interview, they have raised so far a little over $10,000, half of which went to local organizations such as the Micronesian Climate Change Alliance, the Todu Guam Foundation, Salvation Army Disaster Relief Fund, and the Red Cross Typhoon Mawar Relief. And the other half went toward the purchase of supplies as part of the Anaf Malik Mutual Aid that was recently held in California, where numerous groups with Guam ties filled up two huge shipping containers of needed items that was sent to Guam. Fourth-year med student Ariana Barreau attends Carl Illinois College of Medicine, UIUC.
We were pretty intentional with which organizations we picked to fund, and I think a lot of emphasis was, again, since we knew that people were trusting us with their money for this fundraiser, we wanted to pick organizations that we knew had people on the ground and doing activities for those in need and in disaster relief. So we made sure that we had a point of contact in each of the organizations that we ended up funding.
Along with raising funds for relief efforts, Burroughs said the overall campaign was meant to inform.
Majority of the people, I mean, my med school's in Illinois in the cornfields, and no one literally has even heard of Guam majority of the time. So it's like raising awareness about Guam, about what the typhoon had an impact on the island and what that meant for the people on there, and using the fundraiser as kind of a vehicle for that.
Kai Akimoto, second-year med student at University of Minnesota School of Medicine.
Minnesota is also somewhat in the cornfield, so they were very much insulated from this news about Guam, much less the history of Guam. But for the people that I was able to share this news with, they were rather frustrated with how little circulation about this catastrophic natural disaster happening. Even I think amongst people who are very in tune with global news.
They are all aware that it will take a year, if not more, for many of them to recover after Mawar, and it's what continues to drive them to raise relief funds.
A lot of assumptions were made that, if Red Cross and FEMA were already on their way to the island, that they would have enough support, that people who needed disaster relief would get it. And I think something that a lot of the med students in our group talked about was people were still out of power. People were still not getting water. People were still not getting very basic supplies. And it was frustrating. I think when majority of the people that I knew who were on island still were not having power, I think that definitely motivated me to feel like I needed to do something about it. There was also this sense of just our high schools were destroyed. Like the places that we knew as part of our home were completely wiped out. The impact that it had on our communities, even just within our schools, I think was enough to motivate us to just investigate how we could provide support from abroad.
If you would like to donate to their fundraising campaign and help them reach their goal, you can search Typhoon Mawar, Guam Disaster Relief at GoFundMe.com.
There's still a lot of support to be had because there are still a lot of people who are currently being affected by the aftermath of the typhoon and will continue to be needing that assistance.
With this week's Giving Every Tuesday, Jonagan Charfaris, KO News.
Giving Every Tuesday is brought to you by J. Goodman, a happiness company.